So we are recording. We're live.
All right.
Pretty much. So Mr. Richard Ross, aka the Solar Boss. So how'd you come up with that nickname?
It's becoming a thing. It's catching, man. Funny story. My kids are my marketing directors.
That's awesome.
We were talking over dinner one night, and I was telling a story about how my dad was in the military, and they called him Boss Ross, and I'm like, Dad, that's cool. I didn't know that about Grandpa. And I said, hey, what can we do with your name since you're doing solar full time now? I said, I don't know. Rich Ross. People always joke about Rich Ross. The classic Rich Ross.
Yeah.
Haven't heard that before. Rick Ross.
Yeah.
And it just kind of progressed. They kept saying it. They're like, Rick Ross. Rich Ross. Huh. Like, my son, Josiah, he's like, Rich Ross, the solar boss.
Yeah.
Why don't we do that? And mine's like, yeah. That's my other daughter. And
That's
Rendon,
awesome.
they all agreed, like, yeah, Rich Ross, the solar boss. So it just stuck. And we went to a home show. And, I just, didn't think any more of it after that. And we were setting up for the home show. This is like a week later.
Yeah.
And I was with Bryce and, Tanner. We're getting set up, and Amaya goes, she's 8, and she's like, my dad's Rich Ross, the solar boss. Did you know that?
To like someone, a customer?
To Bryce.
Oh, to Bryce.
Yeah,
That's
as
awesome.
we were setting up, and then she started, everywhere we went, she started telling people, my dad's Rich Ross, the solar boss, And then Bryce started calling me that too on the group me and things like that when we would comment back and forth in the chat, and it just stuck.
That's awesome.
And it's caught like wildfire, and I decided to.
Now everyone says that you're Rich Ross, the Solar Boss. Yeah. I think that's pretty cool. There's a lot of people out here, especially in sales, where it's all about branding. And there's a guy out there. I don't know if I'll say names yet, but he works under I think it's Vivint or something, but he doesn't say he's with Vivint, right? He is his last name, Security, right? That's his brand, his identity. So I think just for the fact that you have that, it's on your business card, right?
Yeah.
That's
Made it
super
official.
Yeah, it's official. It's on your social media pages, right? Your Instagram.
Yeah.
And dude, that's so awesome. That's unique. You just took yourself, separate yourself from everyone else that's doing solar, right? You're not just a rep. You're not just some guy. You're not the third or fourth guy knocking on someone's door. You're Rich Ross, the solar boss, trying to sell some solar. That's awesome. So real quick, I guess tell us a little bit about how'd you get to solar, right? Let's talk about your careers, right? If you have a military career.
Yeah.
And tell us a little bit about that. Did you ever see yourself doing this?
Never.
10 years ago? 5 years ago?
Never ever.
So how long were you in the was it Air Force, right?
Yeah, I was in the Air Force 6 years. I was for those out there listening, I was a Viper crew chief, which is F-16.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you do that right out of high school?
No, oddly enough, I wanted to, but I ended up going the course of the college route because I initially wanted to be an officer. And
a police officer?
No, an officer in the Air Force.
Okay.
I wanted to fly. That was my ultimate goal.
That's awesome.
But I ended up not enlisting initially. I ended up going to college, getting my degree, and then life happened. I met my wife, and ended up enlisting after that.
Yeah.
And went from there.
You didn't think about that in high school at all?
Yeah, I did. Actually, my goal was to be an Air Force Academy graduate. Cool. And it was my junior year, and my track coach set up a meeting with a recruiter specifically for the Air Force Academy. And he said, your high school career is great, your middle school career is great. Grade school, not so great. He said, I'm sorry, son, I gotta tell you, too little, too late. And I never forget that.
Wow. So
there's a lesson there. You can never, it's never too early to start. If you have a dream and goal, work towards it and do the best of what you have. Don't let anybody tell you no. Or I should say, make them tell you no and keep trying.
Dude,
So
yeah, man, I totally agree. So like for me, I'm glad you kind of brought that up, like about like when you kind of started thinking about it, because I feel like I have kids, you have kids, and my oldest is also Amaya. We established this like 2 weeks ago. That's awesome.
right.
And she's almost 8, and yeah, you have people that tell like, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? Like, what do you want to be, right?
Right.
And I feel like a lot of times like people will brainwash you, and that's why you have so many kids that are super depressed out of high school, and they think that they're like not successful because they didn't do what they were told or trained, right? Like for me, when I didn't graduate college, I didn't take the traditional route. When I was in high school, I didn't know what I wanted to do, right? I did 1 year at a college, at a university, and I changed my major like 3 or 4 different times because I didn't know what I wanted. But when you tell someone like, oh, you know, here's your senior year, you need to apply to this college, you need to be this, what do you want to study? Like how are you supposed to know? Like sometimes some people know, right? You had an idea what you wanted to do. Some people know they want to be doctors and they'll do that. But like the majority of people, they don't, right? That's why you see people that hate where they work, or they get into debt and have a $60,000 student loan, and they're working a completely different field than what they actually went to school for, and not using that degree. Like that investment, there was no investment. It's gone.
So true.
Exactly. Have you ever flown an airplane before, like a jet?
Yeah. I've flown several aircraft, so...
I know that was so random.
Yeah, no, it's a good question.
But that was what I was thinking about.
I love aviation. Aviation's my passion. So I never got an incentive ride in my jet every time I came up with that when I was in the Air Force. Something happened. It was pretty crazy. It wasn't meant to be. But civilian-wise, I'm working on finishing my private pilot license. I went to school for aviation management. So I've flown all kinds of aircraft outside of that.
Yeah.
From Cessnas, Cirrus to Warbirds, T6, gotten plenty of rides.
Okay, so you've already flown those before.
Yeah.
And so then what was the license you say you're trying to do now?
Private, finishing in private. I started and stopped so many times. I'm knocking it out. That's my goal for this year.
That's so cool.
Solar's gonna allow me to do that, so I'm excited about that.
Yeah, dude, I've seen those videos. Like they'll take like there was a YouTube video I saw. It was this reporter, because the Blue Angels were flying. Yeah. And she was like doing a story on them, and she went on the back of one. Yeah. Right. And dude, she passed. Like, he's like, all right, ready for a roll? I was like, yeah. You go on a roll, and then she throws up. Like she passes out, and then eventually throws up, and then passes out again. And like, dude, I couldn't handle that. It'd be so much fun to do that. I think
it's awesome. It's brutal. I went up, and it's nothing like a fighter jet, but closest to it. They actually can pull more sustain G. It's a Pitts S2B. I went up with Eddie Merchant when I was in flight school and did some aerobatics. And I mean, the roll rate is unbelievable. I mean, you move the stick hardly an inch and you're already over and about to go over again.
Holy cow.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
That is crazy.
Yeah, I was the only one out of my class that didn't puke that day.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's why, like, dude, I can't even do a roller coaster ride. Like, going on one loop, like, I don't do any rides that are looped. Like, I just can't. I can't go like a full circle. Like, I don't know if it's like vertigo. Like, I think I have that where, like, I'll get dizzy like on one side or something, or like my orientation's off. Like even like underwater, like I can't do a somersault underwater. Like it just throws me off. So I don't know if that's just like fear, like in my head, because I'm scared, a little baby.
Maybe.
Or no, but I do have like some sort of vertigo. Like I'll get dizzy, like I'll start spinning. Must be like an inner ear thing. So I'll never fly a jet probably. But so okay, so you did that for 10 years.
6 years Air Force, and I've been off and on flying for 10 years plus. I should have my private by now, or commercial technically with the amount of hours I have, about close to 200 hours. So
then what's the goal with that? What do you want to do?
I'm really big in this season of my life of finishing what I started. There's a lot of other things hanging out there, big and small. But that's one of the big ones. Part of the reason why I didn't finish that, even when I was in college, was people's words. Went to school in Iowa, and there's there was not a lot of minorities out there, and there's a lot of people that said I couldn't do it or wouldn't do it or shouldn't do it. With where I am now, it's time to get that done. It's time to prove them wrong.
Yeah,
it's long overdue. Life got in the way. A lot of things happened to keep me from that. But I'm nearing a stage in this season of life where I'm going to be in a position to do that. So sometimes you just have to do things just because you started. It's time to finish it.
Yeah. Dude, that's awesome. That really reminds me a lot of like David Goggins, his book, the one I got.
Yeah.
It's You Can't Hurt Me. And he talks a lot about that. He grew up in a, I think it was a majority like white area, and he was trying to act different to get that attention and be different. So he would do the traditional thug look and and
went through that stage.
Yeah, and that could be hard. Like I haven't I guess I'm a minority too, but like I haven't been in those situations before because there's always been a lot of Hispanics in places that I've been, and that could be hard. But same thing he went through. He went through all that, and people tell him, "You'll never do this. You'll never do that. What are you? Like you're nothing." Right? So that's kind of cool. You're using that as fuel almost to get your things done. And like, dude, I think like it's so dumb sometimes that like in today's world, there's people that like people get a lot of satisfaction by saying what they want to do. Right. And I read this study. It was like people that say what they're gonna do out loud to others, like the same like endorphins like chemically gets released in their brain as if they actually did it. Yeah. Right. So that's how you see, like, I'm sure maybe you've noticed like Facebook posts like, oh, next year, I can't wait. I'm gonna go on this cruise in Hawaii or Greece next year, but they never do it. Right. Or they'll say, oh, I'm thinking about starting this business online, and they never do it. They don't put in the work, right? They just say what they're gonna do. Exactly. Right. And what does that do? It gives them like that quick endorphin release. It gives them that quick like assurance that their friends agree with them because that's what they want, right? They just want that assurance, like, oh, well, my friends think if it's cool if I did this, and even though I didn't do it, but they're thinking, yeah, you should do that, right? Just like when I first started this podcast, like I was telling people, yeah, I'm gonna do this podcast. Oh, dude, that'd be awesome. This and that. And I got kind of nervous. Like, oh crap!
It's like, no, I gotta do it.
Exactly, and I didn't do it because like people told me, but I did it because like I wanted to fill that need, and I listened to a lot of podcasts.
Yeah, me too.
I thought it'd be pretty cool to interview people.
No, it's a lot. There's a lot of good ones out there, and I gotta tell you too. First of all, I'm honored to be here.
Yeah, my first one.
And honored to be the first. But I think it's awesome that you're doing this.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate it.
Be huge, and reach a lot of people.
I hope. So I'm gonna start with Fusion. Yeah. Fusion Power reps, and I don't know. Go from there. See what happens. So, you have your career in the Air Force. Yeah. And so how did you, because I know Nick recruited you. Yeah. So how'd you meet Nick, and like how'd you do this? Have you ever done sales before?
I have. Man, I've sold everything from clothing to cars.
Oh, dude. So hard.
Looking back, it's funny how you look back and you realize that so many decisions you made in life have led you to the point you are at today. And just before this, like I said, I never thought I'd be doing solar, but just before this, I spent the last 6 years in retirement and estate planning. Before moving to Arizona.
Like wills?
Yeah, wills, trusts, probate avoidance, and then an insurance license also. So then I transitioned into a financial advisory role, or assisting financial advisors in closing business and things like that. So spent the last 6 years doing that, and then moved here and transitioned out of that just from meeting the right people. Yeah. Right place at the right time type of thing. And yeah, Nick, he was one of my neighbors, and we had moved here. We've been wanting to be in Arizona, for several years.
Yeah.
I was stationed out here for a while when I was in the Air Force, and fell in love with it. And we've been trying to get back ever since. Went back to the Midwest because that's where my units were, and got sick of the winter. We were like, why are we doing this? So we would vacation here every year for our anniversary.
Wow.
For 6-7 years at least, and we wouldn't vacation anywhere else. We were like, we gotta.
I love it here. Yeah.
Yeah, we love it here. So we love to hike. So we said, you know what, we need to make the move.
Yeah.
So we finally did it. An opportunity came up for me to transition with another firm in a similar role. But 6 months in, just things weren't working out, and we were worried. We're like, what are we gonna do? We made the move for this position.
Scary. Yeah, you got a family and kids.
Very
Super
scary. Very scary. I'll talk about a leap of faith. Oof.
Yeah, I've done a few of those.
Yeah, and I was chilling out at the pool one day with the family, and Nick Goldberg rolls down with his wife and his daughter.
The first time you met him?
Yeah, first time I met him.
Wow.
And sat down, and it was actually, my kids, they always say, Dad, you wouldn't know them if it wasn't for us. They're funny like that because they always make the connections initially. And Nick had a Fusion Power shirt on, and my son Josiah was like, what's that on your shirt? Is that like a disabled guy or something?
Like the logo?
Yeah. And he's like, no, it's an FP. And he's like, what's that for? Fusion Power. It's like, oh. And I said, what's Fusion Power? I said, we do solar sales consulting. I said, oh, that's cool. And didn't think anything of it. He just told me about, how he does business. He said, yeah, I work, in a lot of retirement communities, and I deal with retirees. And I said, that's cool. That's what I do. Yeah. But I do it in estate and retirement planning. He's like, yeah, I help them do what you do. I help them save money, but I do it using the sun. Mm-hmm. That's cool.
That's a good analogy.
Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah. And we just went on and talked and never thought anything of it, A couple weeks later, met him down at the pool again. He's like, hey, how's everything going? I said, good. He said, how's everything going with your job? And I said, some frustrations there, some challenging. It's not what I thought it would be. The people I'm working with aren't as transparent as I thought they were going to be, and realized a lot in a short period of time. And it was disappointing. It's kind of deflating, But he said, hey, it seems like you're a good guy. We have a lot in common. You like working with people too. And he goes, if you ever want to look into doing something else, I feel like you might be a good fit. Yeah. I said, just keep it in the back of your mind, and you're always more than welcome to come out with me and shadow me, see what I do at work. I'm like, really? I can just come with you? He said, yeah.
This isn't the traditional job.
No.
Is that what you thought?
Right. Yeah. He's like, no, it's not like, he said it's more freeing. It's liberating. He said, I have my own business within a business, and he said, yeah, come check it out. Okay, cool. I'm like, whatever. I'm just going to grind it out here and do what I'm doing and see it. A couple more weeks go by, and things are getting more challenging at the job I transitioned to Arizona for. Yeah. Like significantly.
Jeez.
I'm just not seeing eye to eye on a lot of things, and it just wasn't what I thought it was. That's the short version. That's a whole other story and podcast in and of itself. We can get into that.
We could have a second.
Oh, good.
Second.
I think we might have to
session here. Okay. I'm down.
So it was funny because my wife was thinking she just seeing me struggle, just be frustrated and not really be excited about my day anymore.
Did you come home angry? Like, yeah. Angry, was it like
frustrated?
Any little thing you like start having a fight with your wife about?
Yeah, I was very sensitive. You could say that.
Dude, that's exactly
irritable.
Yeah, dude. Like that's
even with the kids, it was just I wasn't enjoying them. Yeah, very short tempered. I wasn't enjoying life anymore.
do you get like that when like I experienced that when I was in my previous job as a banker? You know, stressed out, not just. And it's different because like in that job, like were you a commission only at this other job, doing estate planning, or was it hourly?
No, that's the other thing. So when I transitioned with, it was hourly and salary here. It was commission and somewhat salary back in the Midwest when I was with that other firm for several years. But here, yeah, it was salary.
Salary. Okay.
Yeah.
Were there like ways to get more money, or were you just like stuck?
So there were, but that's one of the issues that kind of brought things to a head as to how that was done. Didn't really have a good understanding of the model, but then when I did finally grasp an understanding of the model, I didn't agree with that model. It didn't seem...
Wasn't in your favor?
No. No, it was a multi-level type thing, and
so you had to recruit people to like make money off of them, pretty much.
Yeah.
That's tough. That's what we're trying to do. And that's the thing, like, like after doing this job for 2 years now, there's a huge difference in like. I'm not saying like people who work hourly jobs or salary jobs are like less than us, because that's not the case.
Right.
Like for us, like I've experienced that where like there's no way I can make more money. I could sit here for 8 hours, 10 hours of my day. Like I remember sitting there at the bank thinking, I want to make more money and I can't. My income is based on sucking up to some higher manager that hopefully either promotes me or I get, you know, a few cent raise at the end of the year.
Right.
Now I know people that were mad because they only got 15 cents increase the end of the year instead of their 18-cent increase, right? Like that's nothing.
No.
And I remember one of my managers telling me, you gotta, that this is it, this is the corporate life, you have to climb the ladder, it's gonna be 20 years, and I knew people that had been there for 15, 18, 20 years, and they were miserable. I told a story earlier just now where I had it was, like you were saying, like the negativity, like I was frustrated, I would come home angry, I would fight with my wife, I would fight with my kids, I'd be gone from 8:30 in the morning, be home at 7:30 when my kids were going to bed, and I didn't see my kids, and it's just frustrating, and dude, like, and that's what people like are angry, but then they don't ever want to grow. Like this one person I knew, like, she would just be angry all the time, like throughout the day, right? The moment the day started, just angry, and I feel like people get stuck sometimes, and that sounds like what you were experiencing, right?
Yeah.
And in fact, real quick, I was talking to my sister-in-law, and you know they experienced the same thing as well. With, you know, her husband's work, and same thing, coming home angry. And I told her, like, that's how I was. Like, I used to come home angry and frustrated. But so then, so that clicked for you. Yeah. And then, like, when did you take that leap? When did you tell Nick, like, all right, Nick, let me check you out?
Yeah, it was, you know, everything happens for a reason. Yeah. Right. So, my wife said, you know, why have you talked to Nick lately? You know, just felt him out about that opportunity you mentioned. I was like, no. I said, but it's funny you asked, because I woke up that morning thinking that today's the day. I'm gonna give him a call. I made the call and just see what it's about. You know, she's like, that's funny. You know, she said, yeah, call him. So she encouraged me to call him. I called him. I said, hey, this was on Monday, and he said, yeah, I'm just going out to my area. I said, you know, what day works best for me to sit down with you and just check this out? He said, why don't you come out with me on Thursday? I'm like, really? Just that simple? He said, yeah, just come out.
Did he ever tell you it was door to door yet? Do you know anything about it?
Yeah. And I didn't know anything about it. I never imagined door to door. The only door to door I had ever done was when I was, you know, in football growing up. Selling candy
fundraisers
bars.
And stuff.
Fundraisers, right? Or working with my father's political campaign back in Illinois for a while. That was cool. I'd help him out with that. That was the only thing door to door I had ever seen. My paper route wasn't even really door to door, because I'd just ride my bike and throw the paper. Yeah. So yeah, Thursday came around, and he's my neighbor, by the way, so it was really easy. He came by, picked me up again, and he tosses me a Fusion Power hat. It's like he already knew. He said, "This is the last uniform you'll ever wear."
That's awesome.
I was like, "Yeah, dude, whatever." I would just laugh. So I put the hat on, and I was like, "Cool." So he had 2 appointments that day, and first appointment, I get to sit down. So far, I'm like, "This is cool." Home visits, I could do. This was what I used to do when I was in retirement, estate planning. And sat down and closed it.
That's awesome. Wow. So you watched it.
I watched him close.
What do you think? Did it look easy? Did he make it look pretty easy?
He did. Yeah. And I was thinking, oh yeah, I could do that. It's like what I did. Estate planning. You closed it. It was cool, but he did it. He made it look really effortless. Nick's kind of funny because the retirees kind of view him as their grandson. Mm-hmm. He's got that smile. He's
got a baby face.
He does. But it was neat because it was somewhat challenging. The husband was there. They forgot about the appointment initially. He said, "Well, I'm here." So they invited him in. He sat down. Wife was in the other room, not interested. Was able to get her involved and get them both to sit down and talk them through this and close them.
That's how you do sales.
Yeah, that was amazing. That was good to witness the first time. See how he did that. Second appointment went to, same deal.
Yeah, signed him.
Yeah, signed him.
Did he tell you how much he made that day?
He did.
So this is so what? Okay, what? I want to know what went through your mind when you said that.
He showed me that he had made in one day what I make in a month at that time.
Yeah. And in what, 3 hours? Maybe 4 hours. Yeah. Jeez.
Yeah. And I was just blown away.
Money's a good motivator, isn't it?
It is.
So, did you think it was real?
When you have the right, it always is a good motivator, but when you have the right why for wanting to get the money, because it's a tool, that's an even better motivator. One thing I learned about money is that it increases who you are, or I should say exaggerates who you are in a way.
Yeah.
Positively or negatively. Yeah. Right? So, that's true. The sidebar. Anyway, yeah, it was pretty amazing to see that my jaw dropped.
Yeah.
And the thing, so after that's when we were in the car, he closed, and one thing I noticed about what he did after that is that he knocked. He's like, "I want to take you on the doors and show you what this is really like. Because if you thought that was good, this is going to be the true test." I was like, okay. I don't know what he means by that, but okay. Well, I soon found out what he meant, because keep in mind, this is June 21st, 2018. We're on the doors.
Yeah.
You know what the weather's like in Arizona by that time.
120 degrees, probably. Yeah.
Yep. Hot day, and here we are out in desolate Sun City area, and nobody's to be seen, and we're out there. There's not even any shade. Palm trees are tall and skinny.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this is difficult. This is the part where I was like, I don't know if I could do this.
Yeah.
But then I saw him talk to people about solar, and realizing the approach isn't truly about sales. If you do this right, it's about solving a problem, and that catered to how I operate and I like to do business. I like to help people. I like to solve problems. I don't think about, I'm trying to sell you this product. And that's when I knew that, Nick and I saw eye to eye, and it's like, okay, I can trust this guy. I can listen to him and see what he has to say about this, seeing him be successful in this with the right mindset and outlook.
That's awesome. So your first day out, you see 2 signed deals. You see them go knock doors.
And set appointments. Yeah.
And how many hours do you think you spent with him that day? Actually working.
6 to 8.
It's
easy. At least. I think it might have even been more than that, honestly, because we those first 2 morning appointments were early.
Do you know if he closed those 2 appointments?
Yeah.
Jeez.
He did.
So
it was a good day. He goes, you couldn't have seen a better day.
I know that was like the perfect day, right? It's now you expect that to be every single day.
Right.
So in what 6 hours, 6 to 8 hours, you saw him make more than, or made about how much you make in a month, and set up 2 leads that he went back to, and say he spent 2 hours each, so in another 4 hours, make probably another what you make in a month.
Yeah.
Right. So 8 hours of work to make 2 months of what you were doing.
Right.
Dude, isn't that retarded?
Yeah. It's insane.
Oh, dude, that's why I love solar. Like,
no cap, no limit.
Yeah, a lot of people told me like the money's not real. I'm glad I took the risk because I wanted to, do way better, and thankfully I'm able to help others too. I had a good friend of mine that I used to work with come down to Justin, and dude, it's amazing. Like, dude, last week he sold a deal and made more than what he made in like 4 or 5 months working in that other job, and it's like incredible. Like, yeah, but we don't talk about sometimes the grind that we had to go through and the mental struggle, right? Talking to people, getting rejected, getting no's. I remember when I quit to do this job, I was told that who would ever want to buy door to door, right? You're stupid. And someone else told me, dude, someone knocked on my door, I'll just slam the door on their face, and that didn't help me out, trying to set me up. But I knew they were wrong, right? It's a negative mentality, and it's that like. And you know what it is? It's like the comfort zone. Like, people are stuck in their comfort zone, right? So if someone else does something different that's outside their beliefs, they're stupid, they're wrong. And that's what I was told, that you're going to go bankrupt in 6 months. David, what are you thinking? You have a family. Yeah. And those people that are watching this and they hear that, they know who they are because they're on my Facebook. And no hate, I love you guys. And I understand though why, right? It's different. And people can't fathom that you could go out and prospect, make a deal. Like, dude, I remember like this happened last weekend. I go out on a Saturday morning. I go spend an hour knocking doors, maybe talking to 10 people, get a same day appointment, sign them up. 2 hours later, I'm home by 2:00. And I just made what I made 2 months on my previous job. Yeah. That's like the best feeling in the world. And I feel like that's why in any industry, like not just solar, but like look at people who do alarms and pest control. There's people out there that come and do this job, do that for 4 months and make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 right in 4 months. And you tell someone like they won't believe that, right? Because they spent 40, 50-hour weeks for a whole year making maybe 20, 30 grand. Maybe like 40 or 50 grand, some people. Yeah. But dude, that's incredible. What Nick did in that one day for you, just to see, like, dude, he's right. That's like the perfect day. Because I've had days where you go out and you get nothing.
Oh yeah. And you will have those.
Yeah. So that happened. I heard I think you flew through your mentorship program. You got appointments pretty quick. Was that a pretty easy transition for you to go from what you were doing to door-to-door sales?
So I kind of dipped my toes in the water. I started out part-time and quickly found out that working part-time I was still making, pretty good, decent, supplemental income. But it was still scary to make that full leap. Yeah. So I went through the mentorship program, but quickly found out how difficult it was. This is the most, even to this day, now that I know, it's still difficult and challenging, but just in different ways. But still the most difficult thing I've ever done as far as a job. But that's why you get paid the way you get paid. Yeah. And a lot of people don't realize that.
So I think you're right, because I think it's harder, right? Because we don't have a manager that's on our back. Like, we're our own manager, right? We could go work whenever we want to. That's the freedom, right? But you could get stuck in that. I'll take the day off, or it's only 2. Maybe I'll go out at 4. I'll knock 2 hours because last time I knocked 2 hours, I got 2 appointments. So maybe in the next 2 hours I get 2 appointments too, and you don't. Right. And then you suck that week. So. So when you first started full-time this job, I guess what was like 1 or 2 of the like hardest things that you found doing this full-time, and like how'd you overcome it?
It's a good question.
Yeah.
It's a really good question. First of all, I made the transition. I went from June to November. Things got to a point where it's time to make the leap.
Okay.
I was encouraged by Mark Dunham, like everybody around me was like, Richard, you're doing really well at this.
Yeah.
And nobody's harder on myself than myself. I was doing well, but didn't realize how well I was doing. And it takes a while to see the results, you know. You have to build a pipeline and things like that. But I remember when things lined up that I too made in a day what I would have made in a month. That's when I said it's time to do this, you know. So I took the leap and transitioned. But when I did, of course, a lot of things happened. There's a huge learning curve. And one of the biggest challenges for me as I made that transition was a financial one. It was actually realizing the inner workings of solar and pricing. Yeah. So that I found out I was giving too good of a deal, and I wasn't making enough for myself. So that was a learning curve number one.
Yeah, I think that's the hardest thing that I've experienced too. Is like, yeah, you could, in some things, like if you do a purchase, you could set your own price. But you still want to be fair and good, right? And like, I'm a big believer. It has to be a win-win.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm gonna get what I'm worth, and this job allows you to do that, right? And the other job, I couldn't get what I was worth. I remember when I came down, I was here for 4 days. I checked this job out. I made money, went back, and I gave my 2-week notice. But I was on GroupMe seeing, oh, Mark Dunham just got a sale today.
Yeah.
Oh, he made, I'm here stuck all day. He just made $6,000, $5,000.
Yeah.
I'm like, cool, right? That's motivating, but it's
like,
really
how
hard.
Are these guys doing this?
Exactly. It's really easy to sell like on price, on savings, and I think sometimes I've realized now doing this job for 2 years, like you can't sell on that alone, because you could be talking to someone on a door and they'll tell you, well, how much is it? And you try to avoid it, because I'm like, well, it depends, because you don't want to give a price because they're trying to get the information and it's not accurate to their needs, their usage and all that. And then they'll say, oh, well, how much could I save? And I'll try to say no, but then, dude, finally, and I used to do this a lot when I first started. I'll say, well, I mean, my last customer, they save like $50 a month or $100 a month. Oh, that's not enough savings. Like, they just don't have, the problem is that they don't have the value, right? They're just talking numbers, but there's no value because you haven't built why and the problem. I've done deals where they save nothing and they're like excited to go solar because it makes sense. Right. I've done deals where they save $20 and they still do it, right? I've done deals where they save $100+ a month. But at least you realize that you were underpricing people. Yeah. That's really good. And even now, just 2 days ago, I realized I was underpricing my loans a lot.
Wow.
Yeah. But I'm just trying to be comparative as well.
Yeah.
So you said that's one thing you struggled on. You underpriced. So I remember I think it was like last August or September. You had was it 10? You had 10 sales in a month.
Yeah, that was my first big month.
Okay.
Yeah, 10, and then.
And I remember at the time you were saying was that your first month you were full time? Is that what you were saying? I can't remember.
Went full time in November.
That was in November.
Yeah.
Maybe, okay, you know what? I think it was November actually. And I think we talked a little bit about this because you're like, I asked you what'd you do? 'Cause I think you just committed, right? Yeah. So tell me about that, that month. What was your goal? Yeah, it was that.
Yeah.
So what was your mindset when you quit? You decided to go full time your first month of actually doing this job full time, quote unquote, because really we work part-time hours, I would say, right? So I guess tell me about that first month.
Yeah. It all comes down to committing. I learned a huge lesson in that. And Tyler had mentioned that It's funny because a lot of times in our meetings and trainings, everything I feel like comes down to a timely word. You know, I hear the right thing at the right time from the right people. You know, and I'm able to make a decision based off that or learn from it. Yeah, I went all in and treated this like a full-time job.
Yeah.
Because of the fact I didn't know what to expect. I wanted to clear the bar. I was kind of scared into that. You know, some of the things you brought up about how freeing this is and not being micromanaged. If you're driven and a self-starter, that is almost as good as that can be. It can almost be a detriment into scaring you to do what you know you need to do for yourself that nobody else is going to tell you what to do.
Yeah, sometimes people
That
won't do
makes sense.
something because they know it's all up to them.
Yeah.
They have to be managed.
Yeah.
To be successful.
Yeah.
And I remember when I first started, I had finished my mentorship program, and I asked Tyler, I said, hey, so what's like the biggest thing like stops people from being successful? Because I was trying to learn, and he said being complacent. Right? If you're complacent, then that's when reps stop working. Right? Like you're complacent. Like I'm good. I got my 3 sales for the month minimum. It's the first week of the month, so I'll take the week off. Right? Or, you know, I got 4 appointments lined up this week. It's only Tuesday, so I'm not going to knock the next 3 or 4 days. But then 3 of them cancel and 1 doesn't sign. Right? Yeah. That happens all the time. So, I mean, you gotta keep at it, be persistent, treat it like a full-time job, and yeah, if you're a self-starter, then yeah, you'll be successful. Right? That's all this is taking action, right? So during that month, you say you wanted to treat this like full-time. I think when we spoke, you said you wanted to see like how much you could even do, right? Like how many sales. Did you have a number in mind, or did you I guess what did you focus on? Was it like the result or like the goal? Like I want this many sales, or was it like I want to do this every day?
It's a great question. At that point, I was really too fresh to think about that. I know that if I didn't want to focus on the number too much, and put that type of pressure in my brain.
That could be hard pressure.
Right.
Yeah.
I just put my head down and work and get to where I am and just look up every once in a while.
Yeah.
Keeping my why in mind, and my why is my family. You know, we have goals, we have dream boards at home that I look at every day. I have
awesome.
all those brown eyes looking up at me when I walk out the door every day, including my dogs. Awesome. So
what's on your dream board right now?
I have our home that we're looking to purchase this year.
Congrats.
Yeah, thank you. I'm excited about that.
If you need a solar on that house, I know a guy.
Stuff you do?
I'll take care of you.
You will? I bet. That's the first thing we're gonna do.
I'm gonna get what I'm worth. No.
I bet. So our home's on there. I put my aviation ratings on there to knock those out. Going back to finish what we started. A Jeep for my wife.
Nice.
A Tesla for a work car.
Yes.
Wrapped in fusion power.
Yeah, I want a Tesla so bad.
Yeah. Then I actually have goals about what I want my production to be now that I'm fully in this. You know, my goal is to be 100, 120 for the year. I want to average 10 to 12 a month. Things like that. We even have dogs that we want on there, things like that. You know,
that's good.
So everything from the big and small details. You know, kids being able to play sports and do activities they want. You know, that type of stuff's on my dream board. So when I get out of bed, I turn around and look at that first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
That's what I see. It grounds me. It's like, okay, that's why I'm getting out of bed this morning.
You gotta have the why, and I've noticed that a lot of people that do this job in solar, they have families and kids, and that may be a big why. But I think no matter what it is, because there's people here that are single, don't have kids.
Right.
if their why is I want to just have a ton of money to invest in real estate, right, or get a new car, or whatever fancy stuff, that's awesome, right? So what specific? So during that month of November, you did 10 sales. Compare that to what you made at, like, how much did you make compared to what you were doing at the other?
Well, that's when I had a rude awakening. Is that I did well production wise.
Yeah.
But then come install day.
You didn't price them.
No, I didn't.
That's the
make
worst.
enough. My wife was like, "Hey, babe, what's going on? Like, where is the lifestyle change that everybody said was gonna be there, So, and I'm like, I don't know. It's coming. It's coming. And she said, I don't know. I really don't see it. But okay, and bless her heart, she's been so supportive, and so the kids.
Does she work, or is it just you?
She it's just me mainly, but she does have a business. It's Poema Leather. She does amazing handcrafted leather art. She makes wallets, she makes cuffs, she makes bags, earrings, things
Does
like
she
that.
have a Instagram, Facebook?
She does.
I'm gonna look it up right now. My wife might like it.
She probably would. It's Poema Leather. That's Poema. But so she has that, but the money she makes, goes back into the business, and but that's a blessing too. That's a whole nother story as well. Sometimes the greatest things come out of the worst situations, and that's where her business was birthed out of. It's a blessing. But today it doesn't have to be that anymore. Now it's her outlet, and allows her to bring in some money inside and her creative outlet. But it's frustrating to her because she had to use that for us to get by, because I didn't know enough.
Yeah.
I didn't ask the right questions. Being new to solar, and even having fantastic mentorship, I didn't know what I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to ask, and I found that out the hard way. So yeah, I did awesome, but I didn't make nearly what I should have, And my transition to solar from my other career was hard also, because of lack of income there, and that's a whole other thing. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but
we need money to survive in this world, and we're born and we're gonna always work, right, the rest of our lives to do everything we want. And I feel like I'll be honest, like my mindset's changed a lot since I've been doing this job, because I have more freedom, right? I read tons of books, and we have more money, but then now it's like, what do we do with this money, right? So we want to be financially literate and know what to do with our finances.
Good stewards,
Exactly. And I know people like that are in a negative mindset, and they're like, money is the root of all evil, right? Or money doesn't bring happiness. Money doesn't solve problems. Or they'll see someone that's rich, or see some guy pull up in a nice BMW in a business suit or something, or pull into a huge house. Oh, does he even need a house that big?
Right.
Or he should pay more taxes because he makes more. That one never irritated me until I started working this job.
I bet.
Even like last year, there was all those in the summertime, there were all those protests about Arizona teachers not getting paid enough. And I don't want to go all political here and offend people, but what their goal to resolve that was just tax the top 10% of the people, right? More. If you make more than $100,000, you have a higher tax bracket. If you make more than $200,000, you're in this one now to pay for our salaries. And I understand that there's a lot to it, a lot of perspectives. Yeah. But that one touched on me. I was like, whoa, why should I, just because I decide to do something else and make more money, have to pay more for other things? And I understand taxes, we're always going to pay taxes. But it's a mentality, it's a purpose, right? You get people that say, so Grant Cardone in his book, the 10X rule. Have you read that one?
Working on that one. I have a stack of books I'm working through. It's in the stack.
Okay, it's a really good book. It's the first one I read when I first was transitioning to this job, and it changed my whole mindset.
Wow.
There's a chapter, and I can't remember the story too much as far as details, but I know in his neighborhood, it's a richer neighborhood, and this one guy, I think it was like a big football star or something, like made freaking 80 million a year, 100 million a year, and the HOA wasn't fixing this one thing, like a sidewalk or something, and all the neighbors was like, well, he should just pay for it because he makes more money.
Oh my gosh.
And Grant Cardone in the book was like, that was the stupidest thing Dave ever said. And he's like, in fact, you should pay for it because he's making your houses worth more by just being your neighbor.
Right.
It's like, what the heck? Like, you
Wow.
shouldn't have to. Anyways, so the whole point was like the mindset, like, just because, like, I feel like people view like making more money negative. I've had people when I was transitioning to this job tell me, I wouldn't want to make more because that means you have to pay more on taxes. I'm like, okay, I'd rather make $200,000 and pay, say, $100,000 in taxes and still net $100,000. That's still way more than what I'm making now. Like, I don't understand the concept. But the thing is, people are very negative, and I guess the point of the story is, like, we always have to work, and we shouldn't have to, like, we should get what we're worth.
Right.
Money, like, to think about money isn't mean you're a bad person. Like, when people tell me money isn't everything, I'm going to say, yes, it is. That helps me support my family, right? That helps me do my, like, church services, right? Now I have more time for, like, my spiritual side. I have more time for my family, my kids, my work.
Yeah.
Money allows me to do that. So, yeah, I mean, that's, and like you were saying with, like, you didn't get what you're worth, and that could be tough sometimes. And so did you change it up, right?
I did.
Good.
Thank God for the support and mentorship and leadership in this company. It's unprecedented.
Yeah, we work for a great company, good leaders.
I do. A couple of the owners pulled me inside and looked at my accounts and they said, hey, you do realize here's why you haven't been seeing, what you're seeing. We looked into it. Here's what you got to do to change it. You haven't been charging enough. You've been giving too good of a deal. You're doing an excellent job closing business, but pay yourself what you're worth. And here's how you do that,
Yeah, that could be scary because I used to do that too, sell on price.
Yeah.
And it's scary, but you're right, there's a lot more value.
A lot more.
For the customer too.
And I've fixed that and closing more businesses than I was before because you're building the value.
Yep.
And
not focusing on price, you're building value.
Yeah.
So, I guess right now compared to what you were doing back in November and December, it's April now. What do you see yourself doing different, like specific sales things, like whether it's on the doors or inside the home? Like, what do you see that you've improved and what's working for you as far as being able to set up appointments and close more deals?
So, good questions. A lot of stuff there. I would have to say one of the biggest switches took place in January. Realizing that I wanted to make this my own.
Yep.
So I did something that a lot of, other reps period aren't doing, but a lot of ones in our company. And I made the switch to working almost exclusively in SRP territory. That was life-changing for me and eye-opening. And one thing I learned in doing this is that you have to like what you're doing in order to continue to do it every day. And you have to like what you're saying.
Yeah. You have to believe in your product, right?
100%. You can't be incongruent to yourself. If you are, people sense that. They see that. You're not truly authentic, that way. Whether you are trying to be or not. But I don't know if that makes sense.
No, it does, yeah.
But I was working in one area that I just almost physically couldn't stomach working in anymore. Because of the time it took me to get out there, driving across the valley, traffic is crazy.
It was like an hour drive to get to your area? Yeah,
hour and a half. Usually an hour and a half. In the morning, hour and a half, maybe 2 hours on the way home. So it sucked my energy by the time I was getting on the doors out there. I didn't have much left mentally.
Mm-hmm.
And you're already fighting that mental battle of doing what you're doing, period. Just
Yep.
to get out of your car and hit the doors. So I switched that up. I said, okay, there's an area 10 minutes from my home. I'll never forget the first day I did it. I got in my car, drove 10 minutes down the road, got out, and I was fresh. I was like, oh, this is nice already. I haven't even knocked the door yet, and I felt good.
Good. That's awesome.
That's
it's
huge,
confidence.
right?
Yep.
I had the energy. I had everything I needed mentally. You know, I had prepped before leaving the house, which we'll probably talk about that later, I assume. And I got there, knocked my first door, and I'm excited because this is all new, you know, in this area in the SRP territory. So I'm excited. Knocked my first door. They opened the door. Basically said, hey, it's possible for you to go solar again. Oh, really? They're excited.
Instant, like, please.
Yeah, and set an appointment. I set 4 appointments my first day knocking out there in
That's
an hour.
motivating. In an hour.
In an hour.
Yeah,
And
it's definitely a different market than APS
totally different.
market.
And talk about motivating and encouraging and exciting. I mean, so that momentum just built and built and built.
Mm-hmm.
You know, from each house to each door, from day to day to each month. And that was it. You know, I went home and sat down at the table, and when your wife and kids say, Dad, you're happier
Yeah.
now that you've switched areas, you know, and you come home and you're so much happier and enjoy to be around. And
That's a
I was
good feeling.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's a sign. You know, I'm on the right track and doing the right thing. You know.
Sounds like your kids, you just need to listen to what your kids tell you.
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah,
All
those are
these
good
ideas
plans.
have come from my kids. Haven't they?
Everything.
They're
That's
very-
awesome.
They're brilliant. I'm blessed. I'm a
Wow.
great family.
So, like, was it pretty scary going to SRP? Because I know, like, really, besides you, yeah, we've done a handfuls in office, but it's scary because all we're told is you can't do solar in SRP.
Right. That's why I decided to try it.
Yeah.
I was nervous, but I was excited because I've learned that sometimes it's better to blaze the trail.
Mm-hmm.
Do something different. Set yourself apart. Do what works for you, and do what you're led to do.
Mm-hmm.
Most importantly, really, is what it comes down to. I remember when I was up in my area, I had gotten a lead to that SRP area in December and closed it, and didn't make that transition until January, February, and it, you know, I had gotten frustrated with my other neighborhood out in Sun City, and I just prayed. I was like, Lord, show me what to do. If I'm going to keep doing this, something has to change, you know. And I just felt led to. I just saw that first account I closed in that area, you know. I said, go here. Went there. Rest is
And
history.
you did it. Yeah, that's really cool.
So,
Dude,
it's pretty cool.
I remember one of my, I read something, it said, like, the greatest, like, fact or the greatest, like, truth that something's possible is that someone else has already done it before.
Yeah.
So sometimes, like, when I get down or, like, where should I go? Or, like, if I say, you have those negative thoughts when you're knocking and you get no and no, and you're like, oh, no one here wants solar. Just look at everyone's roof.
Right.
People want solar. Like, this job security.
Yeah.
In Arizona, there's every other house has solar. And, like, people want it. Like, dude, I remember I tried SRP. And I reworked my pitch, and I started getting some more appointments. And one day I went out, and it was a tough day. But when I say tough day and I was struggling, dude, I was out there for like an hour and maybe talked to like 4 people. Right? Like, we always exaggerate it, but
I know I do that too.
yeah, like
In a bad way.
And I see other people, like other reps that come in, they struggle, like, oh, no one here, I can't get an appointment. And you look at their day and they maybe talk to 4 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, what are you talking about, right? So anyways, and then I was knocking with Justin. I was like, oh, dude, I know we're going to run into someone who just wants this. And dude, like 2 doors later, this guy no way. Oh, dude, I wish I could get solar on bills. This and we've been thinking about it. Like, boom. And now you may not get a laydown every time, right? But there's people out there.
Yeah.
And just for you showing up in your area, you're gonna get a sale. I remember Justin when he was going through his mentorship program. Like, so much has happened just working with him. It's crazy. Like, he's such a good salesman. But like, and Grant Cardone talks about this. Like, just show up. Like, just by you showing up, you have such a higher chance of closing. Like, dude, it's so dumb. Like, one of Justin's sales that he got, it was kind of a tough day for him. Like, we were out there for like 2 hours, and he was knocking. He had just finished knocking on the door. He walked to go to the next door, and this guy pulls up his chart and is like, "Hey, what are you selling?" All right, and he thought like, "Oh, frick, like he's gonna get mean or something." He's like, "Yeah, I'm just doing solar." "Oh, solar? Oh, come here. I need to talk to you for my friend." Well, he just went across the street, talked to his friend there, and he's like, "Yeah, he wants solar." He's like, "Yeah, I want solar. I want to do it." And so I just come back around the corner, and he waved me down because he needed some help. Yeah. And I'm like, "Yeah, I mean, we could come back. I mean, when do you have time?" And he's like, "Oh, do you have time right now?" Do it. And we just same day the sale.
Wow.
Just from showing it, just because we walked on that street.
Yeah.
Someone pulled us from the side, said, "Hey, I want solar," and we made money. We got a signed deal. Like, that's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Sometimes you have to do that. Just kind of show up.
Just show up, man.
So, what do you think about objections? Like when you're on the door, and I mean, I don't know. In SRP, do you get a lot of objections?
Some.
Yeah.
Thankfully, there's more excitement, but there's still going to be questions. There's still going to be objections. There always will be.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are the same as they would be in ATS or wherever you are. But I validate them. I listen and validate because they're not wrong necessarily. They might have a misconception, be misinformed, or maybe there's a deep, true concern there.
So what do you do? So role play with me.
Oh man, you're gonna make me role play.
We'll do a short one. So like, say you're knocking on my door, like, "Yeah, hey, like, what's your intro?" Like, "Hey, just say your intro real quick." Like, because you say something like, "SRP allows you to go solar," right?
Yeah, I gotta. Okay, disclaimer.
Okay.
All right. I will mess people up for pitches because I don't have a standard pitch. My standard pitch is be yourself, talk about what you're there to talk about. Don't try to be sneaky or tricky or beat around the bush. I'm very straightforward up front.
That's good. That's a new thing I've been trying to apply.
And it works. People, are like, well, what if they find out it's solar too early? Why would you want somebody to find out about what you're doing later?
Yeah.
Get the yes or no up front,
So what do you say if someone's like, "Oh, solar? No, I don't want solar. It's too much money."
Have a conversation about it. I ask them why, or say, "Yeah, I understand people have thought that before. Have you looked into it recently? It's not like it used to be. Here's how it's different. Here's why."
I like that.
We're able to do it zero out of pocket a lot of times.
I like that. Yeah, because people don't know. People think you're talking $50,000 and you spend this much out of pocket, right?
Right.
That's see, you already did it. That was a very
I like see what you did there.
Yeah, that's a very good one.
No, but yeah, that's the honestly that's something that that's a hot button for me.
A pitch?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I believe you have to have a standard way of saying something to get the information across. But you have to find a way to do it that suits who you are.
Yeah.
And play to how you think, how you act, how you speak. You have to enjoy saying what you're saying. When you're starting out, yes, do what has been proven. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. But say those same things and relay that information in a way that you can do it. You can only model yourself after someone, so far.
Yeah. I like that. All right, there's a model for how to do a good pitch. Thank you. Yeah, dude. I mean, you look at the top 10 reps. they're all gonna have what they say is different.
Yeah.
I think like the bare bone, like their process is similar, right?
Right, they're all similar.
Feeling pain, right?
Yeah.
Is what you do first. You show value.
Mm-hmm.
You show a solution, and then you transition to an appointment.
Yeah.
What do you think, like when you're presenting inside a home, like what's the biggest obstacle or objection you usually have to overcome in an SRP market, like you see the most in SRP? Or like the biggest concern people have in SRP markets?
Yeah. I would say how is the SRP going to look after solar? That would be one. And the others are standard, how are they going to look on my roof? Things like that.
So how do you,
or the resale value on the home, because now in SRP, there's only the purchase option. What does purchasing solar do for your home? How does it benefit? How does it detract? Things like that.
Are you? I was gonna ask, like, how do you overcome that objection? Where to like, what does your bill look like? Like, what is my bill gonna look like after going solar? Like, how do you typically answer that?
Yeah, I said, well, let's take a look at your usage today. I can compare apples to apples. What you're doing on your current rate plan, and look at what it looks like post solar. There's a huge difference just comparing the two rate plans and how much you'll save there. Then you can incorporate the cost for the solar as well and talk about how that benefits. And then you can give them a gauge. Okay, your bills are here and here. We know that we can definitely cut your summer bills down in half. We're basically tightening the bandwidth of the span of payments per month. I should say the span on the cost per payment per month, if that makes sense. So instead of I had one last night, she was seeing $400 bills.
Jeez.
We can cut the summer bill down to $200, and now instead of going from $200 to $400, maybe you'll go down to $120 to $200.
There you go.
Something like that.
Good. So what's your, like, if a rep here or anywhere else listening wants to like attack and tackle the SRP solar market, I guess what do you suggest that they do, or any tips that you might be able to give to sell an SRP? I think there's not a whole lot of training in SRP that even we have.
There's not. It's I see why it's so challenging. Thankfully, we're having very, very rapidly coming out with tools to make it more easier to deal with the technicality side of it, because there's a lot of math involved.
Yep.
And there's a lot of tools that have to be incorporated to make it work and make sense. Which I'm excited about.
Yeah. So it's just, I know it's a lot more numbers, a lot more like calculations, what the bill could be, what it is now, the new rate plan.
And that's kind of what I enjoy about it, which I never thought I would really say, is that it's a true energy management program, and you have to be a true consultant and be a specialist, a true solar specialist. That's what I enjoy about it too. And that's how I position myself. I don't want people to view me as just another door-to-door guy, or just another salesman. That's probably one of the greatest offenses you could ever say about me. One of the greatest things I've ever had said about me, and that's how I know I've done my job right, is not once did I feel like I was being sold. You truly walked me through this and helped me make a decision because you presented information. And
that's very good.
And you built a relationship in the process.
Yeah.
I don't sell you anything.
Yeah.
I'm here to help you solve a problem.
I like that mentality. Yeah, I've had people tell me that. I've had people tell me at the end of when I'm going to leave and they've signed, they're like, "You're really good at your job."
Yeah.
I didn't think we were going to sign today.
Yeah.
I've had that many times. I'm sure you had it where people, you walk in the door, the moment between the door and the table, they're like, I'm not signing anything today. I'm just here to get information.
Oh yeah.
And by the end of it, they're like, hey, how soon could I get this?
Yeah.
Like, I want this. And that's because you built value, you built relationships, right?
Yeah.
That's very cool.
I've actually frustrated my wife because on 3 accounts now, since the beginning of the year, we've actually made friends with some of my customers and
That's
have
awesome.
been invited for dinner and for lunch, and our families have spent time together.
That's really good.
Yeah.
You're gonna be you'll be very successful at what you do. That's awesome.
I enjoy that. But that's what I'd say, and I don't know if that really answered the question, but if I had to say something directly to, another rep that's going out there to tackle SRP, enjoy it. Enjoy the process.
Yeah. Okay. I'll put that out.
All right.
So what are your goals for 2019 this year? Sales wise.
120 counts.
Dang.
Total. Yep.
Where's the when is that the cruise? 120 sales?
Well, that's just for the total year.
Yeah, but I think with our incentives, I think you get a cruise at 120.
Oh yeah, that's right. I didn't even think. See, I don't think about that.
Dude, you're going on a cruise. That's awesome.
I just do the work, man, and whatever comes from that, I consider it as a blessing.
So let's see, 120 divided by 12 is 10. That's it.
Yeah.
10 sales a month. That's not bad.
Huh?
Are you on track? You're behind?
I'm a little bit behind because of the last week. That's the thing with this too. You can have your goals. Life happens.
Yeah.
And sometimes it shifts your focus. And what's nice about it too is that you have a flexibility to be able to do what you need to do for your family at the time, and then get back on track.
Yep.
But you just got to know that, hey, when it's time to get back on track, it's time to get back on track and get back to grinding.
Oh yeah.
One of the biggest things I've learned in this last month, and I have my family again to thank for that, especially my wife, in the Lord, is to work from rest. You just as easy as it is for you to underwork a type of job where you are your own boss, you can definitely overwork it.
Yep.
Last Saturday, or the Saturday before that was my first Saturday off in 3 months.
Dang.
I've been working 6 days a week.
I thought we had freedom.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, it's okay. You can work whatever you want to work.
You can. Don't overdo it. I was getting burnout. The same that was happening when I was in a position where I wasn't happy. Come home, angry, frustrated, not driving with your family and kids. That can happen when you overwork too, even if it's something that you love doing.
Yep.
And my wife said exactly that. I thought we were doing this so that you have freedom. Yeah. That hit me.
I've had those issues before, yeah.
Dang, that's right. And then when you have, the owner saying the same things, like, look, it's written into our core values for the company, right? This is here so that you can enjoy life. You work to live, not live to work, right? I had to remember that. And I was successful, but I was still stressed out. Every time my phone would ding because of a Podio update, I would freak out.
You also get annoying.
Yeah.
20 in a second.
Yeah. So I had to set boundaries for myself and anchors and limits for what I can and can't do when. So I set a schedule for myself. And that's changed everything. I'm still getting to adjust that, but as far as my mental well-being and the lack of stress, you don't have to be stressed and working frantically to be successful. You can do it from a place of rest and a place of peace.
That's a very good tip. I like that. I agree with you with resting and working a lot. For me, I struggle taking time off because in this job, like you're paid for your results.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't matter how many hours you work, you're paid on results.
Exactly.
And like I tell my wife, okay, Sundays I'm taking a day off and Mondays I'm taking off.
Yeah.
But like it seemed like the last few months every Monday I've worked, because it's like
Right.
I could be making, like I could go out for an hour you don't even know, and you could get an appointment and sell it the next day and make money. And like I've taken trips last year. I took a lot up to Idaho, and we do it like a 2 weeks at a time. And after the first 5 or 6 days, yeah, it's fun. I get to relax, but then I'd be bored, and I'm like, oh, I just want to go knock a door. I want to go sell. Like I could be making money, and when my phone blows up on GroupMe saying, oh, I got a sale. Like that's the worst feeling in the world.
Nuts.
Yeah, because you're like, oh, I could be out there getting a sale, right?
Yeah, that could be me.
Yeah, or even worse, when you don't have sales, you're like, fuck, I need to go start selling.
Yeah.
Which is why we do that. I mean, I like it. It's awesome to get recognition, but that's one thing that I struggle too sometimes, is taking days off. And my wife knows that. And I recently read or heard a podcast with Jim Ron, and he said that like when you're at work, you work. Mm-hmm. When you're playing, you play. And he's like, I used to find that I was at work thinking, oh, I need to take my family to the beach. I need to take my family here. I need to take my family, and he couldn't focus on work.
Right.
And then he would go to the beach, and he couldn't spend time with his family because he was thinking about what he needed to do at work and what he this and that, right? So his wife and family were mad at him, work was mad at him. There was no balance. So maybe that's one thing I need to work on, is just focus on when I'm working. And like you said you have a schedule, right? Yeah. I need to make a schedule for myself instead of just doing every day what I feel like. Oh, do I feel like working today? Most of the time it's yes, because I want success, I want sales, I want money. And then my wife gets mad at me.
Yeah.
Yep.
Even though you're doing the thing that she appreciates you're doing for her and the family, right?
Yep.
Yeah. It's funny how that works. But you just gotta have balance.
Yeah, seriously. Well, I think we're gonna wrap up. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Anything you want to ask me, or want me to ask you? Anything you want to share with anyone?
I love that you said that you take Mondays off too, because I started doing that. Sundays, Mondays.
Yeah.
That was my schedule commitment. She's like, okay, if you're gonna work Saturdays, you need to take Monday off.
I like that.
So that's what I started doing. So I work Tuesday, we have the meeting. I love that my week begins with that meeting, right?
Yeah.
It's a good way to set you up for success for the rest of the week. So I started doing that.
Good.
But go ahead.
So I definitely recommend people taking 1 or 2 days off. Schedule those days off in, right?
Yeah. I don't want this to end, man. This is good. I feel like
that was the fastest hour and 20 minutes of my life.
Yeah, same.
I thought it was going to be like 30 minutes and I'd run out of content or something to talk about.
We barely scratched the surface.
I'm going to have a part 2 with Richard Ross, the Solar Boss.
I'd be honored. And
I'll do it.
I'd be honored. There's a lot of exciting things in the works, and I'll probably have more to report by then.
Perfect. Cool.
So I look forward to that.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Richard.
Thank you for having me, man. This has been awesome.
Yeah. Dude, awesome.